Hello, fellow food lovers. Today I will be making Chinese deep fried whole fish fillet using Basa fish with sweet and sour sauce and pineapples. You will need one fish fillet, I'm using Basa, a half cup of pineapple chunks, salt, and cornstarch. For the sweet and sour sauce, you will need 1 cup of water, a half cup of white vinegar, a quarter cup of sugar, a quarter cup of ketchup, and 1 heaping tablespoon of cornstarch. Okay, so I got some fresh pineapple there. I'm gonna use about a half cup of it. So I'm gonna cut the skin off. I'm going to cut the eyes off it as well. So I'm going to cut the center core out because it's too hard to eat. And I'm going to cut the pineapple into chunks. Okay, so I have a Basa fillet here. You want to dry it off. So I take some paper towel and I kind of dab it over the fish so that all the moisture is kind of picked up. I'm going to be drenching it in cornstarch before I deep fry it. So you want to make sure the fish is as dry as you can get it. Okay, I'm going to add a pinch of salt onto the fish. Okay, I'm gonna put some cornstarch into the pie plate so it'll be easier to drench the fish fillet in the cornstarch. So I'm putting maybe a quarter cup, maybe even a half a cup of cornstarch in there. Okay, so let's get cooking. So I have a wok half filled with oil and it's on high heat for the last 5 minutes. So to know if the oil is hot enough for deep frying, you take a wooden chopstick and you place it in the oil and the bubbles come up like that, then it's ready to go. Okay, I got the cornstarch there and the fish. Okay, so I'm gonna drench it. I'm gonna dip it and pat it into the cornstarch so that all the entire fillet is covered in cornstarch. Just like that. Hang it over the cornstarch and kind of give it a little shake so the excess comes off. Like that. And then I dip the thicker end of the fillet into the oil and let that fry for a bit before I slowly let it down into the oil and have it laying down on the oil. So yeah, I'll fry the top part first. And then I slowly set it down. Okay, so you probably want to turn the fish over at least once so that both sides fry evenly. If it sits above the oil, you can press it down like that. Yeah, if it's sitting, yeah, so turn it over. If it's sitting above the oil, you can press it down so it's below the oil. You want to turn the fish over at least once when you're frying it. Okay, so I have some paper towels sitting on a plate, sitting behind the wok. So I'm gonna take the fish fillet out. I'm gonna set it onto the paper towel so it can drain. So I generally recycle the oil that I use for deep frying in the wok. So I'll keep it in a metal container on top of the stove. And when I recycle, I'll drain it through a sieve so it catches all the little bits and particles before it goes into the container. Okay, so I washed the wok. It's on high heat again. It's going to make the sauce. I'm going to add 1 cup of water. I'm going to add a 1/4 cup of sugar. I'm going to add 1/2 cup of vinegar. And I'm going to add a 1/4 cup of ketchup. So I'm going to let that come to a boil. I'm going to add the pineapple as well. So I'm going to let that come to a boil. So I'll make the cornstarch slurry while we're waiting. I'm going to add 1 heaping tablespoon of cornstarch. Yeah, so I'm going to add 1 heaping tablespoon of cornstarch into the bowl. And I'm going to add a 1/4 cup of water to that. Okay, so the sauce is boiling. I'm going to add the cornstarch slurry. I'm going to mix that into the sauce so it thickens. Okay, I'm going to transfer the fish over to the serving dish. So I'm going to ladle the sauce over the fish. So you're not going to use all that sauce. Maybe 3-4 ladlefuls of the sauce and the pineapple should be sufficient. We might make sure that the entire fish is covered in the sauce. There you go, that's a deep fried fish fillet. I'm using Basa with sweet and sour sauce and pineapple. Sweet and sour sauce goes really good with fish for some reason. And this is a nice dish to have with rice as well. Okay, bon appetit.